Hey, Cal Forever here, and video about what I do uh, for energy healing, energy work, and for myself, and for healing for people around me, and directly to people as well. Basically, it's the simplest thing ever, where you start with it, and that's the heart, and it's about coming into falling into the heart and taking this small step that's a giant leap, as it seems like, for mankind at this time. And it's just about jumping off of that high dive, that diving board, and jumping and splashing into that pool, into those waters. Or you could visualize yourself sitting in your aorta, the biggest artery of your heart, just sitting there or laying there or sitting there, and then lay down and surrender and slide through the water slides of your soul, of your love, of your heart. And so that's where I began. And I think technologically wise, the technology of the heart and how smart it is and how profound and how powerful it is needs to really be stood with at this time, or understood, or stood above, whatever, the space between the two. And after we get to the heart, then we balance between the heart and the brain and realize the witness is the one between the two. And finding that balance in that coherence of the heart and the brain. Because it's not just about being in the, it's not just about being in that feminine energy all the time, that intuitive energy all the time. It's about balancing that in a heart-centered way, from the heart, centered in the tiny space of the heart, instead of just in the heart or just in the brain. It's about finding that space between the two. And so what do I do? What I do or have been doing is, I've been an avid sun gazer, so that's one important part. And I'm not going to get too much into that, but I mentioned that because if you're interested in that, do the research, be smart about it, do it the right way, at the right time, and it will change you profoundly. And if you move into your heart space, it just all unfolds. You follow your heart, your intuition about it. You follow what seems right. It's not even your intuition, just what feels or is right in what unfolds and opens for you. That's what I've done. Even though it's been confusing, it's fusing everything together. But so what I do is, I do toning, I guess is what some people call it. I call it throat singing or chanting or overtone, polymorphic overtone singing. And I do this kind of breathing where when I begin this breathing, I completely exhale all the air out of my lungs, and then I take a deep breath, the tongue on the roof of my mouth, and breathe in and just visualize and feel the energy moving through my body and allowing it to go to wherever it needs to go. And that's just one part. That isn't even where I began, but that seems to be the healing that I do now, where I do this breathing and I become the beacon of light, and then I do the toning. And to get into the endocrine system and explain that, say it begins with a thalamus, the glands around the heart, which releases oxytocin. So chanting a big Om, oh, oh, that just vibrating or singing or humming to yourself, or just feeling that vibration there around that glands, is so important and releases oxytocin and cultivate this deep sense of love for all life everywhere. And then you got your thyroids that are not going to get too in deep into it biologically, but thyroids help with certain hormones to regulate your weight and so many other processes. But to speak about it energetically, it's also associated with speaking that love, speaking that truth. The truth is love, so speaking from your heart. So that's what that is, and also listening the truth of others, listening to other people's hearts in love. So that is those chakras and the endocrine system and energetically is all intertwined with the physical body. And then you got a series of glands in your brain, and then at the crown of that is your pineal, which is literally an eyeball. And a lot of people tend to get fixated on the third eye. I don't call it the third eye. It's the single eye of the heart. And when you're seated in the heart, it's like a periscope comes out of your heart. And then you look out of that periscope from your heart. Instead of being in your brain. And yeah, it just doesn't, that's the old paradigm to me. And so certain hormonal glands that are associated with energy. And you got your adrenals around your kidneys that work with power and fear and survivalistic, like earthly, animalistic, without negative connotations type of behaviors and stuff. I guess specifically like survival, like gathering food or harvesting food or whatever, shelter, simplistic things like that. I guess you could talk about that chakra, which is the energetic vortex, which chakras are these, I call them sparkly donuts, where they're like shaped like a wheel. And to talk about the wheel of karma is where they're separated. So there's a male and female.